because coming down with whatever, I have had to stop it. So poor Eric is now getting sick. So I was like, I'm just gonna take over downstairs for a little bit. I swear to God, Willow, I love you. I'm gonna wring your little neck. She's in a mood. She hasn't had her walk yet. She's like,
Oh,
hi, mother. I know that you've been sick, but I'm over it.
it's
She's
like
fucking done.
that's the opinion that matters.
Yeah, she's like, okay, look, I understand you've been sick, but you must understand that's not my fucking problem anymore. This fucking dog. I'm excited for today, though.
You know what? You know what might be nice is if I turn off my fan. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, you can also probably hear Willow chewing on her bone.
Yeah, well, I can turn the fan off. I don't think Willow's really old enough for us to turn her off yet, though. So,
not yet. Not yet.
I was like, something seems unusual. It's the fan.
It's the fan. Yeah, I have to deal with Willow chewing her bone because it's either that or she's going to be a massive pain in the ass the whole time we're recording.
Yeah.
So, I'll apologize up top, but I'm like, I'm still getting over being sick. Like, I've been running a fever on and off and coughing, and I couldn't sleep last night because when you get to like the end of being sick and your body is like, hey, we've been sleeping for 3 days. Can we be done?
You don't need more sleep. Yeah.
So I was up until like 2:30 and then woke up again at like 7 because Eric was coughing and I wanted to get them some medicine. And I'm just like, what is happening? Like,
yeah, I also, I'm not sick, but I also had a devil of a time trying to go to sleep last night. So I'm running on like 3 hours of not very good sleep, and I'm for sure planning on taking like a nap before I go to work after this. So
yeah, I've got to go grocery shopping at some point today, but that's it. But I think this will be fun. I think this will be a fun episode. There's a couple of like highlights I wanted to talk about, but let's just get into it.
All right. Do you want me to do the intro?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. Hello, and welcome to Wands and Fronds, the weekly podcast where we cover magic, herbalism, and more. I'm Nick.
And I'm Shannon.
And as always, we are your co-hosts. And Happy New Year, everyone. This is our first episode being recorded in 2023. Woo!
Woo! Welcome to 2023. Yeah, thanks everyone for like chilling with us while we took a few weeks off. It's been a long time since we had a break. By that I mean I don't think we've ever taken more than like 1 week off, including when my sister died. So
yeah.
It was nice, I think, to have a little break. But hopefully you all enjoyed your like festive holiday season. I'm like on the very tail end of being super sick, so I apologize if I end up getting gravelier throughout the podcast. I am sorry to disappoint you. Stevie Nicks is not guesting. I'm just sick and starting to sound progressively more goat-like as we go. But we thought it would be fun to kind of like start the year off with like a look ahead and talking about some things we're looking forward to for the year. Maybe doing a little talk about like the tarot cards of the year. I wanted to start by saying it's a 7 year, which I think is really exciting, right? So 2023, I guess we can kind of start with talking about tarot card of the year. So there are different ways to calculate this. I do it by like for 2023, obviously you add up the numbers and you get 7. So that's the Chariot, which is great fun. For the birthday, for your like personal tarot card of the year, I do it where you add up the digits of your birthday and the year. So for me, it's like 8 plus 2 plus 5 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3. And then you reduce it until you get to a single number. So I know that there are 21 number cards in the major in the major arcana. Some people do it differently. The way I do it is reducing it down to 1, because with the way it breaks down, every card has a teacher card. And if you have a 1 year, it's also a 10-year. So, that's the way I do it. Some people do it where they reduce until they get to like 1 to 22. But for me, when I work that way, I'm in an emperor year, which is interesting. And I'll talk about it a little bit more. But Nick, how have you calculated, and what are you using as like your tarot card of the year?
So I did look at mine yesterday, and let's see. So I had Hierophant for single digit, but Temperance for double digit. So I had 14, which puts me in a 5-year. But I was actually reading a really interesting article about that. Basically, the lady that wrote it was saying, like, the fully reduced one is kind of like an overarching theme of the year, but the double digit one might be something, like a focus.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Kind of in that broader theme, which actually I think with it being the Hierophant and Temperance, like really those are playing together nicely, or maybe not so nicely. But I think with kind of what I have planned for the year, Temperance really was something that was like hitting me square in the gut.
And I think that's like the most important thing, right? It's like there are as many ways to like determine a card of the year as there are tarot card readers, which is to say fucking infinite. But like you really have to go with your gut. And so it's like if you're jiving with Temperance, like I think that's the way to go, like to focus on that. So do you want to like maybe talk a little bit about what that means? I can talk a little bit about my interpretation of Emperor, and then we can like have a little kiki about like having Chariot as the card of the year.
For sure. So for me, the reason I was thinking about Temperance is because Temperance is all about like finding the right balance.
Yeah.
And personally, I think with my big travel plans this year and really trying to travel more going forward, it's one of those things where it's like I do have to rein in some of my excess in my personal life to be able to do that. And I think, finding the right balance is going to be important to be able to make that kind of stuff happen going forward. Which does feel like a big theme for this year. I know I'm absolutely unhinged, but I have bought a 3rd ticket to Japan.
Woo!
Fingers crossed I actually get to go this time.
Hey, you know what? I think it's like this is your Temperance year. So whatever. You've waited.
I have waited, and I've been as patient as I possibly can. But this is the year. This is the year that's going to happen. I'm also, just really excited about the planning of it all, which does feel, in that vein of Temperance, like something fun I can do that is free.
I like that.
But also, I do feel like, kind of the Lovers year kind of saw me really, really like overextending myself, just really kind of playing with fire, so to speak, burning the candle on both ends, that kind of thing. So I think a little Temperance here might be just what the doctor ordered.
I think that's good. I think Temperance is like a good level-headed card, especially when we're thinking about like we have a fucking like I think we have a solar, is it a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse? Hold on, I have to look at this because there's a big eclipse in Aries happening. That is like kicking off April. I was like looking at it, I was like, what the fuck? Oh yeah, so on April 20th, there's a solar eclipse in Aries, which
Oh wow.
I think is going to be kind of intense energy. So it's probably nice to have that like temperance card running in the background, because I'm just anticipating April is going to be funky for a lot of reasons. Um, but that one I think is obviously like kind of a whoo. We'll see
And
what
of
happens there.
and of course that is my birth month, and it's like one of the last degrees of Aries too. So really going out with a bang with Aries season on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Aries season is going to be really fascinating this year. But I think we've got some really cool shit coming like towards the end of the year, which we can talk about a little bit later with like more of the astrology stuff. But I love that. So for me, I mean, the Emperor year, I think is interesting. I think a lot of people might know I had like a job transition happen recently, and a lot of things in my life have felt kind of in flux as far as like the material is concerned. Um, in ways that are like, both positive but also challenging, right? I went from having this job where I made significantly less, but I had a lot more free time, to a job where I'm making substantially more, but have less free time, even though the work is more rewarding. And the Emperor is all about like, building your empire, right? It's like, what do you want your life to look like? And what is a world like where you're the personal authority in your own life? And I think this is something that I really need to like kind of kick into gear, because I did feel like I was floundering at the end of last year a bit, which is fair. There was like a lot of huge transitions happening. Last year was a rough year for me. Like it was
Yeah.
my Empress year, but it was like, we had some really, really traumatic things happen. So I think coming into like my personal Emperor year feels kind of empowering too, where it's like, okay, you know what? Like some shit went down, but now we're going to like build your fempire. Here you go. Like, let's turn that pain into something good. Which I feel like transitions really well into talking about the Chariot card, because like the Chariot card, man, like that's a big one, right? Like thinking about like change and momentum. And I feel like I know we're going to talk probably a little bit more about astrology later, but I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that it's a Chariot year, and we also have Pluto taking its first move into Aquarius. I mean, it'll slip back into Capricorn before fully moving into Aquarius in January of 2024. But we have that big transition happening. And then Saturn is moving into Pisces. And I think that's going to be an interesting vibe,
Oh yeah.
having Saturn in Pisces.
And also, but it's when Saturn moves into Pisces, that means our Saturn return is over.
Yeah. And God, our Saturn return, I felt so cocky at the beginning of it. And I was like,
Oh
this is
yeah.
great, positive transformation. And like at the end of the day, everything that has happened has caused really good growth. But man, there were some pain points by the end of it. But I think the great thing about the Chariot card is it's like, this is such a like, it's the journey, not the destination vibe, which
Right,
I
right,
think
right.
is really challenging for a lot of reasons, especially for me. So it's like, speaking of Saturn, it's like I am a very Saturnian person, and I love boundaries and checklists and goals. And something that I have to work on a lot in my shadow work is like this rigidity that I deal with. And that's something else that I think the Chariot card is great for, right? Like it's so good for shadow work, because it's like you have to like have movement, but like seven is
It does
also,
feel very Saturnian too.
yeah, it does.
And
It does.
I was actually feeling like, like the Chariot also kind of feels like a good reckoning kind of moment after the chaos that has been the last couple of years.
Oh yeah. And I think that like we're seeing that too in the stars, right? I mean, like we've talked so much about like the US's Pluto return
Uh-huh.
happening. And
Yeah.
then we've got Pluto moving into Aquarius, and Aquarius is like the humanitarian. And it's
Which
like,
is gonna be so great. I was actually saying, I am actually really jazzed, in about 20, 25 years to like meet some of the Pluto and Aquarius generation that's gonna be coming
oh no,
up.
oh sorry, hold on, you froze on.
Oh, well now you froze on me. Are you back?
Oh, there you are. Yeah, sorry, I lost you for a second. You froze on, you were jazz.
Oh no, I was saying I'm jazzed to meet like, in like 25, 30 years to like see those like those like Pluto and Aquarius generation coming up.
Oh my God. Yeah, I am fascinated. I think that they're going to be like such really cool. I don't know. I just feel like they're going to be really cool people. I do think that there's like every generation has something special about it, but I think that having Pluto and Aquarius is really I think that's going to be interesting. But I do think those like big movements do just make so much sense in a 7 year, in a chariot year, um because like also adaptability and resilience are big themes with the charity, right? Like how with the charity with the chariot, like how do you deal with having to take u-turns? And that's something that I think especially in our modern era we could all use some, work on, because like I feel like the chariot has there's so much idealism in it,
Mm-hmm.
but it you need a lot of like work to back it up, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Um so yeah, and I think this is just I'm really interested to see how this plays out, because the teacher card, so in oh, what is her name? There's a woman who wrote a book called Tarot Constellations, and she talks about teacher cards in tarot, and it's kind of like the card that has like the opposite energy, and you can think about that as like kind of the shadow side of the card, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the teacher card for the chariot is the Tower.
Is it Mary
um
Greer?
yes, yes, thank you. um so I do think that it's interesting to have like such a big transformational year, and then the reminder in the background that like the teacher card is the Tower.
But I really do feel like that makes so much sense after the couple of years we've all kind of collectively had.
Yeah.
It's like almost like the reminder is not needed. Um,
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're still here. But I
who
mean,
could
that's
who
part.
could forget?
Who could ever forget? But I think seven is just such a really cool number to think about, even just outside of like tarot, just with like numerology, right? Like sevens come up all the time. Like there's the seven classical planets in astrology, there's seven chakras, there's 7 days of the week, like there's seven tones on like the diatonic musical scale. Like we see sevens come up so much, and there is something about it that's like I think feels really good after all of the shit that we've
Yeah.
been dealing with.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, it's like, it's a lucky number for a reason, right?
yeah, exactly. Lucky number seven. And I think that we get some cool stuff in it. So like the chariots associated with Cancer and the moon, and we have a blue moon this year, so we get an extra lunation cycle, which
Nice.
I'm really excited about because it happens in August. And
Oh.
we start August 1st, Lunasa, on a full moon. And then we get a
Mm.
blue moon on August 30th in Pisces, which I feel like is kind of perfect in a chariot year when there is so much of that like momentum and like doing that like kind of ongoing planning. I think people that do like moon work this year is going to be really powerful for that. And if you don't, like maybe this is the time to try it, because there's some exciting shit happening with it. But yeah, so we've got we've got the Aquarius full moon on Lammas or Lunasa on August 1st, and then the Pisces blue moon on August 30th. And can I just say how excited I am to have a blue moon in Pisces in August?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like made for you.
I
No
know.
doubt, no doubt.
I'm like, there's gonna just be a barrel of water outside, so I can just like get all that energy and keep it forever.
Yeah,
Because
just one of those like rain collection barrels.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is gonna be quite a way to go. But I do think that like this year has kind of started out, I think, interestingly quiet, considering we've got that big like event happening in April. Because we have like Mars and Mercury are both currently retrograde, and they'll station direct in like Mercury stations direct in the middle of this month, and then Mars stations direct, I think in like March. But it's wild because of like the Mars retrograde, it's been in Gemini for fucking like 7 months or something
Yeah,
crazy like that. And
yeah.
I am really ready to like kind of shake off that energy because
Yeah, no
God
doubt, no doubt.
damn, like it does kind of feel like communication has been wonky and frenetic. And look, I have to admit, I am an Aquarius rising. I'm not a great communicator in general. Notoriously, I'm not a responder to text messages very reliably.
No, and I mean, I'm your best friend, and I can't even get you to respond to text messages.
But I respond to you more than anyone.
No, I know, and I'm just saying it's oftentimes never right away.
Yeah.
So I'll get like a text back, and I'll be like, "What did I even say?"
I know. It's like one of my it's one of my problems, but I do also feel like it's the most Aquarian thing about me that's very like stereotypically Aquarian is like never fucking responding to text messages. Um which just makes me laugh. But I think that for me, just kind of like to back up into like bigger themes of the year, like thinking about having the Chariot, the Tower as the teacher card, the Emperor as my personal card of the year, and I think the teacher card for the Emperor is Death. I was feeling like this year I want to like do some focus on some shadow work. I dyed my hair dark at the end of last year and was like, well, this makes sense. About to enter my villain era, as the young kids say. Um, but my like magical moment of the week, I just have to fucking talk about because this was bonkers mind blowing. So I did my like manifestation, like thinking about the year. I do all of my like beginning of the year journaling and goals in the bath because I'm a fucking Pisces full moon baby. And I was like doing some thinking and I was like, okay, this year for me, I really do want to focus on shadow work. Last year was such a struggle. I want to find ways to like really incorporate that. And so I was like, I'm going to set an intention. I want to like really focus on working with Hecate and Persephone. Like I'm just feeling really called to working with them. And I shit you not, the next day, I was like getting out of the shower and it sounded like a lawnmower was going off outside. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I looked outside and there were crows everywhere. Like hundreds of crows. I have never seen so many in one place. And they were all like located right around our place in that sycamore outside. And Eric and I walked out to walk Willow and I was just like, what the fuck? And Eric was like, what did you do? And I was like, do you want to know? Because this kind of feels like my fault. But it felt like it was just so wild. I was
Okay,
like, okay.
but Hecate is out and about, and like I know whatever. But I saw this TikTok the other day, right? Where they have this filter that like turns you into an anime character, right?
Yeah,
Harmless, but I mean, supposedly they are trying to steal everyone's face. Whatever. They probably already have my face
they
because I'm
already
down.
have my face.
They already have my face. Anyway, basically this girl was like, Hecate, if you're here, show yourself, and then takes a picture. And there's a lady in black in the background of the damn photo.
Oh my God, she's here. She's here. So, I mean, it makes sense. it's her time. But I did pick up this great book that day because I was like, okay, well, fuck, yes, ma'am, I get it. I'm
Yes.
coming. So I got this great book that Eric actually caught because we annually do a like January trip to Barnes and Noble and spend an obscene amount of money on books because we're a Capricorn and a Virgo that live together and we'll never have enough bookshelves. But it's this book called Dark Goddess Craft. And it's
Ooh.
the back of it, it's like connect with the magic of the dark goddess. She waits to guide you through the shadows and lead you to rebirth. Will you follow her into the dark? And so Hecate and Persephone are both in here, but there's also a bunch of other like dark goddess deities. So like Sedna, Kali, Eris, Skotnak, like the washer at the ford is the very first one. So this woman is like, she focuses a lot on like Celtic deity work. So I'm really excited to get into this, and maybe
Is that like Modron?
yeah.
Is that
So
supposed to be
there's
Modron?
the washer at the ford could be Motron. It's like she's one of those that hold on, let me get to it. I also did get a whole book on like Celtic and Irish myths, which I'm so excited to share with you guys. So hold on, let me get to this page with her because I've like started getting into it a little bit. And this book I think is going to be really fun. I like cannot wait to update you guys. So she's like this washerwoman, right? And she's supposed to help you like cleanse, but this is like sometimes it's bad, but some people also interpret it as Modron. And she's in the Moitura, so sometimes she's also Queen Maeve. Like it's one of those where like the washer at the ford is like could be a few different deities that kind of like are interpreted in different
Almost kind of
ways.
getting into that realm of like an archetype.
Yeah, but it's like officially the title is like often given to, I think it's pronounced bad. It's like Badb. So it's like one of the triple goddesses that make up the Morrigan. But then again, like we know, like the Morrigan and Maeve and Modron all have like this very tangled web when we're looking at like deity history. But that's why they just went with like the washer at the ford to talk about her,
Yes,
because it's
of
like
course.
it could be a few people. And there was like a book on the Morrigan, and I was like, look, girl, like I know I am gonna end up working with her this year, but I'm starting slow with Hecate because I like know her and feel comfortable with her. But I also like had a fucking book about the Morrigan at eye level right after I also had all those crows, and I was just like, okay, but I want them to be Hecate because I'm scared of the Morrigan. Which I feel like is a responsible mindset.
Yeah, you know, back in the QWP days, we did kind of warn people about working with the Morgan, because that's a there's just a lot. There's a lot there.
You just have to be like ready. And I
Yeah.
don't feel like I'm ready yet. But I'm gonna work with Hecate and Persephone because like I'm just really feeling drawn to those two. And like, you know, everyone knows I've had a soft spot for Hecate for a long time. I mean, like, hi, so original, a modern witch that loves Hecate, whatever. But I don't know. It just felt like the thing to do. So I'm really excited to do shadow work, but also, holy fuck, I've never seen so many crows in one place.
Oh, wow. Well, kind of speaking on the Persephone, because you did mention Persephone, I am definitely going to be revisiting the wildflower season again this year, because that was probably the most popular thing we ever did on Instagram.
I know, you blew up our Instagram and it was everything.
So, you know, I'm definitely kind of planning on doing more of that. I would love to go out to either Inks Lake or McKinney Falls, and actually do like a little camping trip around it. I have kind of put some feelers out just to kind of see what's going on with that. But that's really, and you know, it's one of those things where it's like, it seems like, oh, you know, end of March, beginning of April is so far away. It's really not. It's really not.
Especially when you're grown-ups and you have to like plan time off. I really want to like something that this year I want to do, because Eric and I haven't done it since we've lived out here, and I feel like makes sense, the poppy super bloom if it
Mm.
happens. I mean, because I'm growing poppies. I have several different varieties of poppy that I've added to my garden this year. And I do think that's something I want to do is like once my flowers start coming in, maybe do a few more lives in my garden because I have my narcissus that are just like fucking in flower in January. Speaking of Hecate, it's like, hey girl, hey. I literally have like 3 bundles of narcissus just growing. Why? Because Hecate. That's the only thing
Why?
that makes sense. Like I I cannot fathom other reasons. But I planted, a bunch of like black tulips and stuff. But I also went out and did a bunch of daffodils and crocus because with Persephone, I was like, okay, I really want to plant some spring, like some early crocus for Persephone because those are like big
I,
Persephone vibes.
I also do just love crocus too.
They're so underappreciated.
Like I feel like like that's the like crocus and snapdragons are like my witchy cottage in the woods. What wildflowers am I gonna grow?
Yeah, I planted some black hollyhock, but those won't actually be like flowers until next year. And I have some foxglove that's coming up. And I bought these like I bought these seeds for these really beautiful like lavender double poppies that I think are gonna be just like to die for gorgeous. And then of course I bought more moonflower seeds because you can never have enough. And my borage is also flowering. I planted borage and I was like, cool, I'll get flowers in a couple of months. I have borage flowers. I don't know what to tell you people. It's 50 degrees in Los Angeles. Like it doesn't make sense. But green witches can't be stopped, I suppose. But I mean, on a plant note, I just have to say, I got a wish list plant yesterday for not yesterday, the day before yesterday for $30. I got a tiny, it's like small, but I got a philodendron pink princess finally. And
Ooh.
like I could cry. I don't know how much any of our listeners are like actually super into houseplants because we ended up doing more herbalism stuff because that seemed to be more of interest. But like this time last year, you couldn't get a fucking node of that for like a node without a leaf on it for like under $100. Like they were so expensive. But Mickey's Hargitay, our local plant shop, started like growing their own starts. And so I got one that's like maybe like 6 inches tall for $29, which it sounds expensive, but like when you look at the prices from a year ago, it's fucking bananas. And also makes me really glad I didn't spend $150 on a house plant because look, y'all, I have some self-control. Like a little bit. I won't spend more than $50 on a plant. Like I refuse to. It's just like a personal thing. I'm like, I would rather get a small plant and grow it up and, deal with waiting than spend a shit ton of money on a big plant. The only one I've spent more on is no, because I got it on sale. It was full price listed at $60, my Raven ZZ plant, but it was on sale, so I got it for 40. So I've stuck to that rule.
I have well, we've been because y'all were here recently, so you actually did get to see, I think, the aftermath of that bad freeze we had.
Yeah, that was so sad.
So I have your moonflower seeds, of which I was able to save 3.
Hey,
I saved 3. I gave 2 away. And
that feels right.
yeah, well, because it was kind of like, Callie and Carolyn, my friends here in town, they both have houses. And I thought, what a lovely gift to like give you guys to maybe have something to plant in your yard.
And I
especially
love that they're like making their way around. Like
yeah,
that
exactly.
feels so nice.
So, but I kept 3. I kept 1 pod, and I think I'm gonna get those started soon and just like have them in the window until the last frost is over.
Oh my God, I love it.
I'm
Talking. I have my earbud in, but I was gonna go grab my seeds because I did want to like go through and talk a little bit more about the rest of them, but I can't remember everything I have, but I can still hear you. So keep going.
Yeah, so I've got 3 moonflower seeds that I'm wanting to start, and then I also have some like Texas wildflower seeds that were like a handout at a wedding party I worked. Just like a little in the goodie bags or whatever. And I think they were supposed to be throwing them as like rice, but I just saved one. So I'm going to try to see if I can get some of those going because we just have a bunch of empty pots on the patio now. So could be nice to just get some little sprouts, some little wildflowers. I'm especially excited to maybe plant some Texas wildflowers because they should do well without a lot of interference from me who keeps killing plants.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, and one of my garden beds, so when you walk up to my house, the one on the right, I've kind of like, I'm converting it to a hummingbird garden. So it's going to be almost exclusively like local native California wildflowers. And then my other garden bed, I converted to like succulents. So I'm really doing my flowers and stuff in that like big empty space because I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm growing my garden in a way that like gives as much as I get out of it. And we have so many hummingbirds in Park La Brea that I cannot wait to like see more of them. But I went and got my seeds. And guys, if you haven't checked out Seed Savers Exchange, like I cannot recommend it enough. They do heirlooms. And it's kind of cool because for some of them too, they'll like have the story of like where the heirloom varieties come from. So it'll be like, so-and-so's like grandpa always had these in his garden. So I got Gatterman heirloom poppies that are these like bright, like pink, red kind of pom-pom looking poppies.
Ooh, love that.
And we know poppies love California. So here's my lavender double poppy flower. It almost looks kind of like a chrysanthemum mixed with a dahlia, but it's a poppy.
She's giving a little chaos.
She is, and I love it. And then I got zinnias because I love zinnias and they're so easy to grow. And then my new one that I'm excited to try, night scented tobacco, because I'm gonna work on that moon garden moment some more.
Oh,
so
wow.
I got some night scented tobacco that I'm gonna grow with my moonflowers, which I'm really looking forward to. And it's not really like part of the nighttime garden, but I did get some more passion flower. I'm going to try again this year. My passion flower didn't work last year. Yeah, guys, real talk. I do a podcast on plant stuff and I had seeds that didn't work. And then I was also really stoked to try growing a couple of like these Black Knight pin cushions because I've seen them and I just think they're so pretty.
Yeah, no.
They're gorgeous.
They're giving a little bit of goth. They're giving a little bit of goth,
Oh, I love a goth garden moment. Everything in my garden is either like really dark, deep red, lavender and blue, or white. Like, except for my zinnias, but I'm adding these to like my little butterfly hummingbird wildflower chaos garden bed. So they'll fit right in. And then these Love in a Mist, Miss Jekyll flowers are like, they just feel so Victorian to me for some reason.
Because they almost look like little ballerinas.
Yes, and I love them. And then I got these like beautiful autumn beauty sunflowers that I'm going to plant in February that are like the maroony dark sunflowers. But as far as like fruits and vegetables, I did decide like one of the things I'm cutting back on this year because speaking of having a new job and everything being very different for me, I'm going to be growing less food than I have in the past. I'm going to grow probably like 1 or 2 tomato plants, maybe a pepper plant. But then I wanted to like focus on my herbs more than anything. So I got some stuff that would be easy to grow. So I got watermelon because watermelon is actually pretty easy to grow, but it's this moon and stars watermelon that's like speckled on the outside. So I was like, look, if I'm going to grow fruits and veggies, they better be pretty. And then I got these ground cherries because I'm like, I really want to make ground cherry pie and make like jams and shit. But the
Oh,
thing
yeah,
that's
well, and I feel like at this point, I'm a broken record. I talk about it every episode. Black Forager did do an episode on her TikTok about ground cherries, and how,
yeah,
but also because I remember because they look like little tomatillos with like the papery skins.
yeah. I know. I'm really excited about it. And then my next big adventure in the garden this year, though, is I've been talking to you about wanting to do like natural dyes. So for Christmas, I put on my list and actually got these. So Northern Dyer is this vendor on Etsy, and she has a grow your own natural dye garden. And so it has like some marigold, which is great, some coreopsis, which is great, some cultivated woad, which will be really pretty. But the big heavy hitter here, I'm gonna try growing indigo, y'all.
This is actually what I am so excited to see how this turns out.
Me too. I am really excited to try growing indigo. Like, I
Because
think that's gonna be so fun.
I have been getting so many natural dye projects on my For You page. It's having a moment.
It is.
It is
It
the
is.
moment. It really is. Like,
And I'm here for it. I am here for it because it is like, it is fun. It is cool. It is good for the environment because like chemical dyes have like, they produce wastewater runoff that is like not good for aquatic life. But I do think
whereas a leaf or a flower
is fun.
is not going to do that.
And it's like, look, if you're growing calendula, you can use some of it to make your skin, like your beautiful, like skin oil. And then whatever's left, you can make some cute socks.
Yeah.
Like, what? Porque no los dos.
And
Like,
I mean, in this economy, shouldn't everyone have two jobs? I mean, come on.
yeah, come on, calendula, get your shit together. I am also going to be growing St. John's wort in my herb garden, which I'm excited about because, again, speaking of double duty, St. John's wort obviously is like good for everything, especially your skin. And I have lots of skin issues, but I have seen some really pretty like dye projects with it. So more to come. But one of the things,
Watch this space. Watch this space.
watch this space. One of the things I do, like one of my sort of like resolutions for the year is to like try and get more active on our Instagram again. And I know you want to do the wildflower lives and I want to start doing a few more like gardening lives again because I feel like people like those. But if there's other things y'all want to see us doing on there,
Oh
like let
yeah,
us know.
let's go ahead and just say we are doing one of our, like planning meetings here in the next couple weeks. So if anyone has any ideas, any shout outs, anything that you would like to see in an episode, now's the time. Like right
Yeah.
now, as you're listening to this, whatever, like 4 days from now from recording, now is the time.
Now's the time. You can email us wandsandfronspod@gmail.com, or you can Instagram message us at wandsandfronspod on Instagram. That's honestly probably the fastest way to get a response. Once in a while we get an email, which is great, but like really Instagram is kind of where we're the most
And so
active.
Instagram's where it's at, and I'm gonna be so honest. I'm like so millennial about it. Like that's my main form of social media, and I just have the Ones and Fronds page hooked up to my app. So like I get the notifications, I get, it's right there on my phone. So yeah, like
Yeah,
hit us up.
it's
Also,
simple.
I do feel like like a lot of the people that we've kind of made friends with doing this are also kind of in that kind of age bracket where like Instagram is like the main thing we use.
Yeah,
So
look, we're in our 30s and 40s. We can't learn TikTok. We can enjoy TikTok secondhand through Instagram mostly. Like,
I, I I am on TikTok, but I do not make TikToks, if that makes sense.
yeah, I was on TikTok and then I was like, why don't I just watch this through Instagram like I'm doing most of the time anyway? Because I'm fucking old and I'm tired, y'all. But also, what was up with them putting the AOL away messages in the Instagram messaging app? Like, what
I
the fuck? I'm here for it, but also like This is what happens when millennials become the decision makers.
No, I thought that was so funny because all the like younger people were like, I hate this. What is this? And I was like, it's the AOL away message. You're supposed to
Yeah.
put like star squiggly line, cut my wrists, black my eyes,
Rar.
rar, or like a kitty cat face, or just like whatever you're
Yeah.
feeling.
It's like just whatever your mood is when you leave your computer, I mean your phone. I know you don't leave your phone, people, but we used to walk away from technology. And
No,
like
oh my god.
maybe you could play Snake on your Nokia brick, but like it's a different time. I am like, I don't know. I'm feeling good about 2023 though, personally, just overall.
I am too. I'm really wanting to learn. I do have that book of Japanese folk tales that I really want to get into. I want to do more birding this year.
I love it.
Which is a hint about our next episode.
Bird law. That is my favorite like Charlie bit from It's Always Sunny.
Oh yeah.
Bird law is very complex.
When I went camping in October, I was like, there's so many birds. It's like I wish I had the knowledge and the supplies to like actually be birding, because that's like really the one thing that was like catching up. There was also some beautiful goldenrod out in the woods because it was goldenrod season.
Ooh, gorge.
But no, I was like, I wish I knew what birds were. Like, I know my local birds, and I could probably spot some famous birds, but like,
yeah, I've gotten much more into like trying to figure out what different birds are since I've lived in Park La Brea, because we're like, there's a lot of birds here, and I didn't realize how many different types of hummingbirds there were in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's like I knew there were a lot, but I was like, in LA? I mean, this whole city shouldn't exist, but what are you gonna do? But it does. And I got another like Christmas gifts I got from my husband's very sweet family. I got 2 foraging books on Western United States and California, like plants and herbs. So I found out that like some of the things that were like weed-like that I didn't know what they were in my garden are edible. So
yeah. No, that's
fun.
That's exciting when you like, I don't know, realize that something that you've seen out and about everywhere.
I'm like, I could eat that.
Has like an edible component. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Cool. That's going in my salad. Here we go. So, Black Forager, I think, is inspiring a generation. But also I was really excited to get them because, we've talked about it on here a lot, but especially if you're like eating stuff, it's important to know what you're getting. Like, again, a lot of things won't kill you, but why get a rash if you don't have to?
Right. Well, and it's also one of those things where it's like, she goes into the ethics of it. She goes into like the history of it. Like, I think it's just such a fascinating channel. And I've passed many a happy hour just watching the backlogs.
Also, like, fuck capitalism. There's enough food to go around. Like, food scarcity is in the United States, at least, is a lie. Like,
it really is.
Perpetuated by fucking grocery chains, because like you can eat so much stuff and it's actually like really good. You just have been taught that they're weeds that you should pour chemicals on instead of roasting them.
The idea of lawn culture.
Fuck lawns. Down with lawns.
Down with lawns. I really think it's like, it's not even just about food availability. It's really kind of ugly. It's boring. Like purely from an aesthetic standpoint, like your square of grass, your square of perfect grass is an eyesore. I'll say it.
I forget the number, but it's something obscene. It's like hundreds of thousands of like birds die every year because of lawn maintenance chemicals.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna fucking kill birds so you can have an ugly scrap of grass? Why?
Yeah. Why? And that's like the most boomery bullshit.
And dandelions are cute. Leave dandelions
Dandelions are cute.
alone.
Okay, and like truly, 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 I think it is psycho to want that little square of green when it's like if you just kind of let stuff go, you'll get butterflies and you'll get
Yeah.
like like it boggles my mind. It really
Yeah.
does.
No, I just don't get it. It's one of those things where I'm what kind of weirdo are you? It's like, okay, Patrick Bateman, you have a perfect green patch. Like, is that really what gets your rocks off?
No,
Like,
and then it's like what? And then you get up at like 6 a.m. on a Saturday when everyone that's not clinically insane is trying to sleep so you can mow it.
yeah, it's weird.
It is weird.
That's some sex toys or something. Like,
Really,
get a real hobby.
get a real grown-up hobby, all right? Like put away your Fisher Price lawnmower.
Start a dildo collection. Come on. It's 2023. We're all starting dildo collections instead of having lawns. That's what we're putting out into the world.
That's hey, you know what? I sign off on that affirmation. I think really the witchy community can get on board with this.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, I follow so many witches on Instagram that are into sex magic, and I'm like, the number of like ads I get for crystal dildos is really inspiring to me. It's aspirational, is what it is.
Oh, good Lord. Well, I think it's about that time. I gotta go to work. I really honestly should be trying to sleep more.
Yeah, it's good for you. And I'm still getting over being sick, and I'm going to have to get groceries at some point today. And my dog is losing her mind. So, I got to go walk her too. It's real.
She heard the word. She heard the word.
She heard the word. The word was bird, and she went off. So I guess, Nick, how are we going out today?
I don't know. To all of you New Year's bitches.
Yeah, to all of you New Year's lucky number 7 bitches. Blessed be bitches.
Blessed be bitches. We're looking forward to spending another year with you guys.
Hell yeah. Goodbye.
I know.